She underestimated him, dismissed his professionalism, and made a scene. Her regret? Instant when the owner arrived. It was a rainy evening in Dallas, Texas, the kind of rain that made even the most patient travelers weary and irritable. A boutique hotel sat just off a bustling downtown street, its warm lights offering a reprieve from the storm outside. Inside, the lobby was calm, a stark contrast to the chaos of the weather. Polished floors gleamed under soft lighting, and faint jazz music hummed in the background. Behind the front desk stood Leon, a young man with a neatly pressed uniform and a demeanor as calm as the evening was chaotic. Leon had worked the evening shift at this hotel for almost a year now. He wasn't flashy or loud, just polite, professional, and always steady under pressure. It wasn't unusual for him to deal with difficult guests, but tonight would be different. Tonight, he was about to face a test he never saw coming. The sliding glass doors parted with a rush of cold air as a woman stormed in, dragging a rolling suitcase behind her. She was in her late 40s, impeccably dressed in a tailored navy blazer and heels that clacked sharply against the marble floor. Her carefully styled blonde hair was damp from the rain, and her lips were pressed into a tight line. She scanned the lobby with a look of mild disdain before making a beeline for the front desk. Leon greeted her with his usual warm smile. "Good evening, ma'am. Welcome to the Elmwood Hotel. How can I assist you tonight?" But the woman didn't respond right away. Instead, she gave him a once-over, her eyes lingering on his name tag as though she were deciding if he was worth speaking to. Finally, she sighed, placing her handbag on the counter with a thud. "Let's get one thing straight," she began, her voice sharp and clipped. "I've had an exhausting day. My flight was delayed, my car service was late, and now I'm soaked because your valet didn't bother to offer me an umbrella. I need a room, something clean, comfortable, and quiet, preferably away from noise." Her eyes darted around the lobby, as if noise were a living thing hiding behind the furniture. Leon nodded, keeping his voice calm. "I understand, ma'am. Let me get you checked in right away. Do you have a reservation?" Her face hardened. "Do I look like I have a reservation? I've been through hell today. I didn't have time to call ahead. Isn't it your job to figure these things out?" Leon's smile didn't waver, though his fingers tightened slightly on the keyboard. "Of course, ma'am. Let me check our availability for tonight." As he began typing, the woman let out a loud sigh and tapped her manicured nails on the counter. "This is unbelievable," she muttered under her breath. "First, I have to deal with incompetence at the airport, and now this." Leon's fingers paused briefly over the keys before resuming. He was used to remarks like this, dismissive, demeaning. They usually rolled off his back. But something about the way she said, "now this," like he was part of the problem, made his stomach tighten. Still, he kept his voice steady. "We do have a few rooms available tonight. Would you prefer a king or a double bed?" She raised an eyebrow as if the question were beneath her. "A king, obviously. And it better not be one of those cramped little rooms. I want something spacious. Do you even have suites in this place?" "We do, ma'am," Leon replied. "Let me check if one is available." But before he could finish, she cut him off with a wave of her hand. "You know what? Just give me the best room you've got. And please, don't mess this up. I don't have the energy to deal with—" She trailed off, her eyes narrowing slightly as she glanced at him again. "Poor service." Leon didn't flinch, but her words hung in the air like smoke. He didn't need her to spell it out to understand what she meant. Still, he kept his composure, typing away as though her remarks were nothing more than background noise. But there was an edge to her tone now, a sharpness that hinted this interaction was far from over. Leon finished typing and looked up with his calm, professional smile. "We do have a suite available for tonight, ma'am. It's one of our largest rooms, located on the top floor with a great view of the city. Would you like me to reserve it for you?" The woman crossed her arms, her lips tightening. "Well, I would hope it's the best you've got. I didn't come here to stay in some run-down shoebox. Just hurry up and get it done. I don't have all night." Leon nodded and began the check-in process, his hands moving swiftly over the keyboard. He could feel her eyes on him, watching his every move like a hawk. Her energy was sharp, her impatience tangible. "What's taking so long?" she snapped, tapping her nails against the counter again. "I'm just confirming the details for your room, ma'am. It'll just take a moment." "Well, maybe if you knew what you were doing it wouldn't take so long," she muttered, loud enough for him to hear. Leon's fingers paused briefly before continuing. He wasn't one to let rude comments get to him, but her tone was different. It wasn't just impatience. It was laced with something colder, more cutting. As he reached for a keycard, she scoffed and gestured at the computer screen. "Are you even sure you're booking the right room? Can I trust that you're not going to screw this up? Honestly, I don't know how people like you get hired for jobs like this." Leon glanced up at her, his expression unreadable. Her words hung in the air, sharp and heavy. He could feel the sting of them, but he refused to let it show. "I assure you, ma'am, I'm doing my best to assist you as quickly and efficiently as possible." She said, raising an eyebrow. "Your best. That's debatable." Leon handed her the keycard with a steady hand. "Here's your room key, ma'am. It's on the 11th floor. The elevators are just around the corner to your left." She snatched the card from his hand, her manicured fingers brushing his briefly. She immediately pulled her hand back, as if his touch had burned her. "Unbelievable," she muttered under her breath. Leon's jaw tightened, but his voice remained calm. "Is there anything else I can assist you with tonight, ma'am?" She tilted her head, giving him a long, scrutinizing look. "Actually, yes. Is there someone else I can speak to? Someone who actually knows what they're doing? Maybe a manager?" Leon blinked, momentarily caught off guard. "I'm happy to help with any concerns you have, ma'am." "No offense," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "But I'd rather deal with someone a little more experienced. You understand, right? I'm sure you're trying your best, but this isn't exactly comforting." Leon felt a knot form in his chest. He'd dealt with difficult guests before, but there was something about her tone, the way she said, "someone a little more experienced," that hit differently. "I can certainly call the owner for you if you'd like to speak with him," Leon said evenly, his eyes meeting hers. The woman smirked, as if the idea amused her. "Yes, do that. Call the owner. Maybe he'll know how to handle this properly." Leon nodded, picking up the phone behind the desk. His hands moved steadily, but inside he felt the weight of the moment. He wasn't just calling his boss, he was calling his brother Cameron, the man who had built this hotel from the ground up. And as the phone rang, the woman leaned against the counter, a smug smile on her face. She had no idea what was coming. Leon's voice was calm as he spoke into the phone. "Cam, I need you at the front desk. There's a guest who would like to speak with you." "On the other end of the line," Cameron responded swiftly. "I'll be right there." Leon hung up and turned back to the woman, maintaining his polite demeanor despite the sting of her earlier remarks. "The owner will be here shortly, ma'am. Please feel free to take a seat while you wait." But she didn't move. Instead, she leaned against the counter with an air of superiority, her arms crossed and her expression smug. "Good. Maybe now we can get some proper service around here." Leon said nothing, his gaze steady but detached. He wasn't going to engage her any further. Instead, he busied himself with organizing the front desk, keeping his hands moving to avoid letting his frustration show. The woman, meanwhile, tapped her nails against the counter again, a rhythmic reminder of her impatience. "I hope your boss is more competent than you are," she muttered, loud enough for him to hear. Leon didn't flinch. He simply adjusted the pen holder on the desk and waited. A few moments later, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the lobby. The woman straightened slightly, glancing toward the entrance. Cameron entered the room with a presence that was impossible to ignore. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who had seen it all. His tailored suit fit perfectly, and his expression was calm but commanding. "Good evening," Cameron said as he approached the desk, his deep voice resonating through the lobby. His eyes flicked briefly to Leon, a silent acknowledgement passing between them before he turned his attention to the woman. "I understand you'd like to speak with me. I'm Cameron Ross, the owner of this hotel. How can I assist you?" The woman's confidence faltered for a split second, but she quickly recovered, adjusting her blazer and plastering a tight smile on her face. "Ah, yes. Thank you for coming. I've had an interesting experience here tonight, and I wanted to bring it to your attention." Cameron nodded, his expression neutral. "I'm listening." "Well," she began, her tone dripping with faux politeness, "your receptionist here has been less than helpful. I've had a long, exhausting day, and all I wanted was a smooth check-in process. Instead, I was met with incompetence and an unprofessional attitude." Cameron's eyes flicked to Leon, who stood quietly behind the desk, his posture relaxed but his eyes wary. Then he turned back to the woman. "I see. And what exactly did my receptionist do that you found unprofessional?" The woman hesitated, caught off guard by the question. "Well, for starters, he took forever to check me in. And he didn't seem very confident in what he was doing. It was just frustrating." Cameron nodded slowly, his expression giving away nothing. "I see. And did he raise his voice to you? Speak to you rudely?" "Well, no," she admitted, her voice wavering slightly. "But that's not the point. He just didn't seem like he knew what he was doing." Cameron raised an eyebrow. "I understand. And just to clarify, is your issue with his performance, or with the fact that he's black?" The question landed like a thunderclap in the silent lobby. The woman's face went pale, and her mouth opened as if to respond, but no words came out. "I only ask," Cameron continued, his voice calm but firm, "because I've trained my staff personally. Leon here is one of the most competent and professional employees I've ever had. So I find it hard to believe that your issue is with his abilities. Perhaps you'd like to explain what you really meant by your comments." The woman's eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape, but Cameron wasn't finished. The conversation was only just beginning. The woman's confidence cracked, her smug expression replaced with visible discomfort. She forced a strained laugh, waving her hand dismissively. "Oh no, I think you've misunderstood me. I wasn't implying anything like that. I just expect a certain level of service, you know." Cameron tilted his head slightly, his calm, piercing gaze locked on her. "I understand, ma'am, and I'm asking you directly. Was Leon's service lacking, or is there another reason you felt the need to question his competence?" She fidgeted with the strap of her handbag, her face flushing with embarrassment. "I mean, I was frustrated. I might have been a little harsh, but I didn't mean anything by it." Leon stood silently behind the counter, his expression neutral, but his hands were now resting lightly on the desk, as if grounding himself. He had heard this type of backpedaling before, an attempt to cover up what had already been laid bare. Cameron took a step closer to the woman, his tone still polite, but carrying an undeniable authority. "Let me tell you a little about Leon. He graduated top of his class in hospitality management from the University of Texas. He's worked at some of the most prestigious hotels in this state, and he's been instrumental in helping us achieve the level of excellence we're known for at this establishment." The woman's eyes widened slightly, and she stammered, I wasn't questioning his credentials." "But you did," Cameron interrupted, his voice never rising but cutting through her excuses like a blade. "You came in here and dismissed him before he even had a chance to assist you properly. You made assumptions about his abilities, assumptions that had nothing to do with his actual performance and everything to do with your preconceived notions." She opened her mouth to respond, but Cameron held up a hand, stopping her. Let me be clear about something. At my hotel, every guest is treated with respect and dignity, but that respect goes both ways. I will not tolerate anyone, disrespecting my staff, especially when they're doing their job with professionalism and grace. The tension in the room was palpable. The woman's face was now bright red, and she was visibly squirming under Cameron's steady gaze. I didn't mean to cause any offense, she said weakly. I was just having a bad day. Cameron leaned forward slightly, resting his hands on the counter as he spoke. We all have bad days, ma'am. That doesn't give anyone the right to belittle another person. My brother, he gestured toward Leon, showed you nothing but patience and professionalism, despite the way you spoke to him. I suggest you take a moment to reflect on that. The word brother hung in the air like a bell tolling. The woman's eyes widened as the realization sank in. Brother? She echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. Cameron straightened up, his gaze steady. Yes, Leon is my younger brother, and he's just as much a part of this hotel's success as I am. So when you disrespect him, you're disrespecting me, and everything this place stands for. The woman's hands trembled slightly as she clutched her handbag, the weight of her actions finally sinking in. But Cameron wasn't finished yet. The woman stood frozen for a moment, her face pale and her hands gripping her handbag so tightly her knuckles turned white. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but no words came out. The weight of Cameron's words, the realization of her behavior, and the undeniable truth she had been confronted with left her visibly shaken. I didn't know, she stammered finally, her voice barely audible. I didn't mean to. Cameron raised a hand, not in anger, but to gently cut her off. His voice was calm but firm. Intent doesn't erase impact, ma'am. I'm not here to humiliate you, but I think it's important you understand the consequences of the way you treated my brother, and by extension, my staff. We don't tolerate disrespect or prejudice here, and we certainly don't let it go unaddressed. The woman's head hung low, and she nodded weakly. You're right. I was out of line. I'm sorry, she said, her voice trembling. It was clear the words didn't come easily to her, but there was an air of sincerity in her tone now. Cameron took a deep breath, his stance relaxing slightly. Apologies are a start, he said, his tone softening. But actions speak louder than words. Treating people with respect and dignity should be the baseline, not the exception. Every person you encounter is fighting a battle you can't see. It costs nothing to be kind. The woman nodded again, still avoiding eye contact. I'll keep that in mind, she mumbled. Cameron turned to Leon, who had been standing quietly behind the desk the entire time. Leon, Cameron said, his tone filled with warmth. You handled this situation better than most would. You stayed professional, calm, and respectful, even when you weren't treated the same way. I'm proud of you. Leon gave his brother a small smile and a nod. Thank you, Cam, he said softly. Cameron then turned back to the woman. Your room has already been prepared, and I trust you'll find it to your satisfaction. Leon will make sure everything is set for you, and if you need anything during your stay, our staff is here to help, provided it's met with mutual respect. The woman looked up briefly, her face still red with embarrassment, and managed a quiet, "Thank you." Leon handed her the key card, his composure unwavering. Your suite is on the 11th floor, ma'am. The elevators are just around the corner to your left. If there's anything else you need, feel free to let us know. His voice was calm and professional, but there was a quiet strength in his tone, a reminder that he wouldn't be diminished by anyone's words. The woman took the key card without another word, her hands shaking slightly. She walked toward the elevators, her head down, her earlier bravado completely gone. As the doors closed behind her, the lobby fell silent. Cameron sighed and placed a hand on Leon's shoulder. "You good?" he asked. Leon nodded. "Yeah, I'm good." Cameron smiled. "That's what I like to hear. Let me know if she gives you any more trouble." Leon chuckled softly. "I think she got the message loud and clear." The two brothers shared a knowing look before Cameron headed back to his office, leaving Leon to return to his work. As Leon straightened the counter and prepared for the next guest, he felt a sense of quiet pride. He had faced her disrespect with grace, and his brother's support had reinforced that no one could take away his dignity. The story is a reminder that everyone deserves respect, regardless of their role, background, or appearance. Kindness costs nothing, but can mean everything. The next time you interact with someone, take a moment to think about how your words and actions might impact them. Treat others with the same dignity you'd want for yourself. It's a simple choice that can make a world of difference.